एवं पवित्रितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति हया अघारोरिन्द्रिया रामो मोघं पार्थ सजीवति. So today we shall be discussing Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 and shlok number is 16. As you know that Sri Krishna is explaining a creation cycle here which is absolutely dependent on our prescribed duties and yajna. So a simple understanding is that each living being is dependent on the food grains. We cannot survive without food grains, as you know. Nobody can survive. No living beings, whether animal, plants, or human. But these food grains are directly dependent on rains. If there is no rain, there is no food grains. And of course, this rain is not in our hands. So rains are dependent on the yajna. Yajna is a special activity which is performed for the pleasure of God or for the pleasure of the higher powers in charge, known as devatas or demigods. Sometimes yajna is considered as a fire sacrifice where many offerings are made of ghee and other items for the pleasure of these higher powers. So rain is dependent on the hands of these higher powers, devatas. So it is how these yajnas are performed. These yajnas are performed by people who are very dutiful. So it is also a duty to perform yajna. So each being is assigned some duties as a son, as a father, as a citizen, as a student, teacher. So we all are binded by prescribed set of duties. You just can't say, no, I don't belong to anywhere. You're using the roads, you're using the air, you're using everything. And of course, we foot the bill. But still, there are many things which we utilize, but we don't pay anything. So yajnas are kind of gratitude, is a kind of thanks. So these duties, one must perform it without expecting the result. We don't do our duty so that things should move according to our desire. We do our duty just because it should be done. So this is not being attached to the result. This is a very great Vedic principle. And what are our duties? Of course, we may think this is my duty and this is not my duty, but duties are written in Vedas, in scriptures. So scriptures tells us this is our duty. And what are these scriptures? These are the words of God. Scriptures are the words of Krishna. So when we perform our duties, when we perform yajna, that means we are obeying the orders of Krishna. And this is how the cycle of creation moves. So any person who performs his duties nicely, perfectly, then receives everything which he needed. So this is how this world moves. And sometimes we do things which is against the nature, which is against the creation system, then we suffer. And in order to rectify our consciousness, we are sent to jail, or we can say here the hellish planets, so that we don't perform them again. So Krishna is saying in today's verse that, my dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. He lives useless. His life has no meaning. So, anyone who doesn't follow this system will automatically commits hundreds of sins. Sins means things which are taking away from God. Anything which takes us away from God is sin. As simple as that. Anything which brings us closer to God is pious deeds. In other words, is bhakti, pure bhakti. So, this human life, what is this human life? This human life is to get the maximum bliss and peace and happiness. God wants us to get eternal peace, eternal bliss. He can give us that, but we cannot understand it, we cannot receive it. We must have that consciousness, we must uplift ourselves. You see, a rich man, he can give all the property to his small children, but can he maintain it? Can a small child, without getting educated, without understanding the responsibility, can he handle the vast fortune? No. So, an ideal father first train his child so that he can properly handle everything. So, and of course, if he wants to, if a child wants to, accept all this, only then father can move. So God has given us independence. You can be with me, you can be away from me, you can remember me, you can forget me. If you want to forget me, and you do such activities, then I'll create such situation where you will forget me. So all the animals, they never remember God. They have no idea about God. So much so, they have forgotten so much that no matter you just recite all the Vedas in front of them, you just explain the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita to them, they will not understand a single word. Why? Because their consciousness is so deep in the mud of sense enjoyment. But the human is such a junction of life, is such a species among all 8,400,000. The soul, as you know, that soul is moving from one species to another species, and now we have got human life, whether in America or whether in Europe or Asia or wherever, we have human life. And human life has a uplifted, higher consciousness, vivek, conscience. He can understand right wrong. That prerogative is with us. So we can understand that human life is meant for God realization, and by following some simple rules, we can very easily upgrade our thinking, our attitude, our consciousness. And if we are not careful, we may degrade our consciousness to the level of animal, where we fight, where we cheat. Animals don't cheat anyway. But it is even degraded than animals. We cheat, we harm people, even though we don't need to harm them. And such negative things, come to us, and we are very restless. Anger first gives you pain, and then it gives pain to others. But in the right consciousness, nobody can give you pain. Yasmitna nujite loko na dujite chaya. Krishna says, my devotee cannot be harmed by anyone. It is such a great frame of mind. So this is the goal. And what is that? That is loving God. Loving God, Krishna Prem, love of God, is the highest, is the greatest, is the purest thing one person can get. So, how to have that? By following the process of bhakti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. You chant the name of Krishna. It is so easy. Kali Yuga, even though full of faults, Kalo Doshe Nidhe Rajan. Kali Yuga is full of faults. Nothing is good here. But Sukdev Goswami says that even though Kali Yuga is full of faults, it has one great quality. What is that great quality? That just by chanting the name of Keshav, just by chanting the name of Krishna, everything will be perfect. Everything will be alright for you. And if you just forget God, and every good thing will be also detrimental and harmful for you. So a good is good only when we are with Krishna. A good is bad if we are not with Krishna. A bad is good if we are with Krishna. And how far is Krishna from us? Krishna is just a thought away. I've just heard one great Prabhuji was telling that Krishna is not far. He's just a thought away. You just think about Krishna and you are with Krishna. You just chant the name of Krishna and you are with Krishna. And if you just pray to Krishna, Krishna, I want to serve you, and Krishna will make all arrangements where you can serve the Lord. Even my practical experience is that ever since I've started chanting the name of Krishna, everything has become perfect. My parents, my love, my loving attitude towards my parents and my sister, my brothers, my relatives, and everything. Everything moves as if it is so nicely, carefully handled. And this is what Krishna says, Yogakshemam vahami aham. I personally take care of my devotees' needs. It is not others whom I give the responsibility. No higher powers. Me personally, the Supreme Lord. So such is my Lord in my heart. Such is the personality of Krishna that, O people of this world, why you are suffering unnecessarily? Why you are missing this chance? Why don't you just try it? Why don't you just try it as an experiment? Why don't you try it just as a joke? And you will see the amazing, blissful results. So please chant the name of Krishna every day for everyone's benefit. Hare Krishna.